You see all the tire trouble that we've had. You still see all those cars bouncing onto the apron. You have to take the passes while you can get them. Bubba Wallace, he's had a great car, been to the back of the field one time, working his way back towards the front. We've talked about how strong all these Toyotas are, but Bubba Wallace has had a pretty good day today, Clint.
Yeah, he has. He's obviously had to dig himself back out of the hole a little bit here, but fast car again. We've covered that with these Toyotas. Every single one of them make a really good grip, particularly on a long run.
And Kyle Larson didn't like his car much in stage one, faded from where he qualified, but here he is in the top 10 as we get toward the end of stage two.
Yeah, I think it's going to continue to be an uphill battle for these Chevrolets to really figure out what these new cars want from a balance standpoint. So Kyle Larson, they've made their car better, put themselves right on the outside, right on the inside of the top 10 right there at night, so definitely making improvements.
Well, obviously these cautions give them opportunities to do so too. But I am impressed. We've learned something here. You know, you start thinking about the end of the race and what it takes to win. You got 2 tires right there on 11. Bell's been so strong leading laps. A lot of different scenarios playing out here. It gives all these crew chiefs a little bit more of a playbook to look at when we get down to the closing laps of this race.
All right, battle for 7th on the bottom, the leaders on the top. Now, the 2 RFK cars that did not stop, they've faded back well out of the top 10. But their teammate, Chris Buescher, sitting in 3rd. He's the best of the Fords right now as Bell goes for the lead.
Again, you know, talking about Buescher and all those gambles, you know, these are the opportunities that you need within a race to see if that opportunity presents itself at the end, which one are we going to choose?
Christopher Bell just can't quite get himself clear of Denny Hamlin. I think he's got it. There he goes. Got it done this time.
Hamlin let off a little bit there.
Bell obviously won the last 2 years in this spring race and has positioned himself to be back in control of this race after the first stage and taking the lead on that pit stop. He's been able to fire off at the front of this pack and take control of it every time. So continuing to do that as we approach the end of stage 2 with 11 laps to go.
It looks like Christopher Bell's going to max out on stage points here. And earlier, he spoke about the importance of points, even this early in the season.
Super important to start climbing up that points list. And one thing I like about the points change is if you can go out there and win races, you can close that gap. And I think, you know, Reddick, he's won both of them, and now he has a massive gap to the field. So if you go out there and you can execute and win races, I think we'll be able to climb the ladder pretty quick.
Well, he came in here, right around the top 20, just barely. But at this moment, Christopher Bell poised to climb to 5th in the standings.
And this was the reset that I knew was going to happen. You know, going into this, you called it the regular season starts now, Mike. And that tide is going to change, and it is definitely changing in Bell's favor.
And so many important tracks as we go through these next 6 races to be able to know that those races are in the chase at the end of the year. This race is important, and every week that we go forward for the end of the year to put yourself in the spot to have the right notes to be able to perform when you come back to that track for the second time. Jamie?
It's been a great start to the season for Bubba Wallace. 2nd in points, 11th or better in the first 3 races. And they knew this would be a challenge for him here this weekend. I talked to his crew chief Charles tonight, and he said, we missed it in qualifying. He was 28th, just way too loose. They adjusted on this car, and they took a gamble here. When the last round of stops happened, they came in, put 4 sticker tires in it. Even though he was 10th there, they want to make max points here. And so far, it's paying off. He's up to 6th, gained 4 spots since the race started.
Thanks, Jamie. What a battle we've got down around 20th position. 18th is Ross Chastain, Allmendinger, Van Gisbergen, Byron, Alfredo, Dylan, Jones, and Suarez. Yeah, here's how they were a lap ago coming off turn 4.
Very aggressive 4 wide getting into 3. That doesn't usually work out when they spit out the other end, Kevin. No, usually there's less cars than what went in.
Was right there with Ryan Blaney at the beginning of the race. We still think Blaney is one of the cars that can run up front, but
he's got to get there, right?
Yeah.
But I still agree with you. I think Logano is still your car for one reason only. He still has that #1 pit box.
I
We've
agree.
seen it time and time again when we come to this racetrack, decide who wins this race or a championship even.
So third place in doubt here between Logano and Buescher. And here's 10th. Who's going to get the last stage point? That's Todd Gilliland coming around the outside of Ty Gibbs for 10th. Boy, Logano takes Buescher way up the racetrack at turn 4. And drops to the bottom. 2 to go.
Good work, Stevie. Starting to bleed here. All clear. Coming to the right the state.
Christopher Bell with a 3-second lead on Denny Hamlin with Logano and Buescher.
Larry, I'm pretty happy with those 2 tires in the 11 car. It held in there pretty good.
I think it takes a good handling car to make that work though.
I agree. I was always really bad about telling him to put 4 tires on. I hated 2 tires. It always.
I never made it work.
Yeah, I was
Always tighter.
I was always one that struggled with that as well.
Final lap of stage 2. Christopher Bell picking up right where he left off here last spring, now with a 3-second lead as he comes to the line to win the stage over Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, and Chris Buescher. Now in this race, the last 2 years, Bell was the stage 2 winner and went on all the way to victory lane. We'll have stage-ending pit stops coming up.